Alright, according to producer Max Norman, Jimmy Page has an answer for people who say he's a sloppy guitar player. This information comes from an article at Ultimate Guitar, and I'm going to tell you what Jimmy Page said about the accusation of him being a sloppy guitar player in a minute. First, I'm going to refresh your memory on who Max Norman is in case you don't remember. So Max Norman is probably most famous for producing Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, Bark at the Moon, which are Ozzy Osbourne albums, but he also produced albums by bands like Loudness, Armored Saints, Death Angel, Lynch Mob, Megadeth. There's a ton. And he was also an engineer on a lot of albums like Rough Diamonds by Bad Company and Rest in Peace. So he says in this article that Jimmy Page doesn't give a damn about the accusation that he is a sloppy guitar player. But it's not out of arrogance. There's an actual reason why Page says he doesn't give a damn. And that reason is the following. According to Norman, he says, quote, he doesn't care because he knows people are going to like that. Once people hear something a few times, even if it's got a clunker or a bad note or two or an off pitch or something that's out of time, if they hear it 2 or 3 times, they start to like it that way. It has an aspect of novelty. It pleases the ear in an unexpected way, but nevertheless, it pleases the ear. So what Page is saying is your bad reaction to his sloppy playing is only going to happen the first time you hear something. If you continue to listen to it, you'll grow acclimated to it, and in fact, you'll begin to like it that way. Now, this is an interesting proposition, and I think there's some merit to it. However, you wouldn't want to take it too far. I think that if you just made something that was purely atonal, that had nothing but off-putting sounds in it, it was just cats fighting with distortion added to it, it might be interesting even for a few seconds, but I don't think anyone would want to kick back and listen to it for hours at a time. And I don't think it would improve upon subsequent listening. On the other hand, if you take an example of listening to a live version of a studio song you've heard a million times, but listen to a live version that doesn't quite sound the same. Say, for example, you listen to a live version of Whole Lotta Love rather than the studio version. It may, in fact, be that after a while you get to where you prefer the live version, even though it will sound strange to you at first because it doesn't sound exactly like the studio recording. This is my take on what Page was saying, and I think what Norman was also trying to imply is if you try to get something that's perfect, it's going to sound robotic. It won't hold up to listen after listen the same way that something that's slightly flawed will. Now, the reason for this may be as simple as the fact that we as human beings appreciate variation in the sounds that we listen to. If there's a droning sound in your vicinity, you'll eventually tune it out. Whereas if there's a changing sound, you keep listening out of curiosity and interest. It also may be something to do with the human touch. What we're looking for in music is a connection between person to person, and I think sometimes too much polish takes that human aspect away, and therefore something that's slightly flawed can be more enjoyable to listen back to. So in final analysis here, I think that why Norman mentions this at all is because he's trying to say Page isn't playing sloppy because he doesn't have respect for his fans or because he doesn't have respect for the guitar. He plays that way because he believes that that's a form of creativity. So anyway, I think this is a cool thing for Norman to drop into an interview, and I hope that it sheds some insight into Page's philosophy about guitar playing. I don't think it puts to rest the accusations that he's a sloppy player, but it definitely adds another dimension to the conversation. This is what I think, but what really matters is what you think. So if you have an idea about this or any other topic connected to classic or contemporary music, please drop it in the section below, and remember to like and subscribe. Also check out the join button that's available for you now. If you choose to become a channel member, you'll gain access to members only badges, polls, videos, and other cool perks you'll see when you click on that button. You can also help out the channel by clicking on the Buy Me a Coffee link, going to the Buy Me a Coffee site, and leaving a donation. Every little bit helps this channel stay strong. Thanks a lot.